Now, let us consider how the Buddhist conception of pramana deviates from that of Nyaya. As we have seen, Nyaya regards pramana as a means or instrument, karana of cognition or knowledge. Nayayikas here are following the model of agent, action and instrument. According to this model, Atman is the agent who produces knowledge, that is prama, as its own property by using the instrument called pramana. Atman knowing an object by using pramana is like a carpenter cutting wood by using a saw. Buddhists do not accept this model of knowledge or knowledge production, as they do not accept Atman. According to Buddhists, consciousness arises from different causes and conditions. The types of causes which the Buddhists accept do not include agent as the cause and instrument as the cause. So, although the Buddhists do not discard the notion of pramana as a means to knowledge, the distinction between knowledge and its means is only virtual and not real according to them. The same knowledge episode has both the aspects, means aspect and an end aspect according to Buddhists. Now, second difference, it emerges from this. According to Nyaya, even an insentient thing can be a means to cognition. For example, in the case of perceptual cognition, they regard sense organ as pramana. This is not acceptable to Buddhists. Pramana, according to them, does not lead to the knowledge of the object, but it itself illuminates the object. Hence, only knowledge can be pramana according to them. The third point on which the Buddhist concept of pramana deviates from the Nyaya concept is that the Nyaya concept of pramana is homogeneous, whereas the Buddhist concept is heterogeneous. According to Nyaya, there can be a common definition of pramana which equally applies to all pramanas. The criterion of correspondence can be applied equally to all types of knowledge. However, according to Buddhists, though both perception and inference are called knowledge, that is samyak jnana or pramana, they can be called so in distinct ways. In Buddhism, it is not possible to find a definition of pramana which applies to both perception and inference exactly in the same way. For example, Dharmakirti defines pramana as avisamvadi jnanam. Avisamvadi means non-discordant. Instead of using the positive term concordant, Dharmakirti uses a negative expression in order to indicate that every type of knowledge does not have direct concordance, samvada, correspondence with the object. We can only expect that it should not be discordant with the object. Perception directly arises from the object, but inference is related to object in a remote way. Buddhists also regard prapakatva as a defining feature of pramana. Prapaka means that which takes one to the real object. Again, the two pramanas are not prapaka in the same way. Perception directly makes the object available. Inference is directly about a universal which has no ontological reality. So, an inference leads or it can lead or direct the knower towards the real object only in a remote way, indirect way. Hence, the Buddhist definition of pramana does not apply to the two types of knowledge homogeneously, but this is not a fault of the Buddhists. Rather, Buddhists are suggesting that the concept of knowledge is itself not a precise and uniform concept. Heterogeneity is intrinsic to it. A definition of pramana therefore has to be inexact. Another doctrine which follows from the heterogeneity of the concept of pramana is the doctrine of discriminativeness of pramanas. Accordingly, the two pramanas, namely perception and inference, have two types of objects. Perception can grasp only a particular and inference can grasp only a universal. They cannot share each other's objects. This view is contrasted with the Nyaya view, which holds a sharing of objects by pramanas. Accordingly, the same object with its particularity and universality can be grasped by perception, inference as well as verbal testimony. Buddhist conception of knowledge in this way deviates from the Nyaya conception. Both of them are primarily concerned with empirical knowledge as the point of departure. Nyaya models its notion of knowledge on Vaisheshika realism, which involves categorization and constructive analysis of common sense and ordinary language. Buddhism, on the other hand, aims at deconstructing common sense and ordinary language. Now, let us come to the second theme, that is the concept of perception, pratyaksha. Akshapada Gautama, the author of Nyaya Sutra, defined perception, that is perceptual knowledge, as the cognition which arises from the contact between sense organs and objects, which is non-verbal, non-erring and determinate in nature. Indriyartha sannikarsha janyam jnanam avyapadeshyam avyabhichari vyavasayatmakam pratyaksham. This definition was debated by Buddhist logicians. They asked whether sense object contact is a necessary condition of each type of perception. Particularly, it was asked how sense object contact is possible in the case of visual and auditory perception when the respective objects are removed from the senses. This led to the theory that some sense organs are aprapyakari, that is, they cause perception without reaching out to their respective objects. The Buddhist epistemologists such as Dingnag and Dharmakirti were mainly critical about the determinative character of perception. They distinguished between non-judgmental, that is non-determinative, and judgmental, that is determinative cognition, that is nirvikalpaka and savikalpaka jnana. Direct knowledge, which is the same as perceptual knowledge, must be non-judgmental in nature according to Buddhists. The non-judgmental cognition can be called true, samyak, according to the realist Buddhists, particularly Sautrantikas, because the cognition is caused by the object and assumes the form of the object as it is. The judgmental cognition which follows the non-judgmental one is not true, as it involves mental or conceptual constructs, vikalpa, which are superimposed on what is directly given. Under the influence of Buddhism, Naiyayikas also had to accept non-judgmental perception, but they conceived it differently. According to them, non-judgmental perception just provides the raw material for the judgmental perception. In itself, it is neither true nor false. A judgmental perception can be true or false. The concepts involved in a judgmental perception are not mental constructs. they are true reflections of reality according to Nyaya. In order to see how Buddhist epistemology of perception fundamentally differed from that of Nyaya, we have to consider the realist metaphysics which influenced the Nyaya epistemology. Nyaya theory of knowledge incorporated the realistic metaphysics of Vaisheshika system. Vaisheshika system of Kanada had given a scheme of 6 categories which they called padarthas. 1 substance, that is dravya, 2 quality, that is guna, 3 motion, that is karma, 4 universals, that is samanya or jati, 5 particularity, that is vishesha, and 6 inherence, that is samavaya. Abhava, that is absence, was added to this list in the course of time. Vaisheshikas believed that these 7 categories give a mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive picture of the world. They designated them as padartha, which means denotative meaning of a word. Use of the word padartha for ontological categories indicates the isomorphism between language and reality. Vaisheshikas call these categories also as prameya, which means knowable. In this way, for Vaisheshikas, there is isomorphism between language, knowledge and reality. According to Vaisheshikas, most of these reals in their gross forms can be given to us in direct experience. They can be known through inference and also verbal testimony. This picture of reality and knowledge was not acceptable to the Buddhist logicians Dingnag and Dharmakirti. According to them, reality consists of unique particulars without any dharma dharmin complexity. This dharma dharmin structure, which is expressed by Vaisheshikas in terms of the so called 7 categories, is all mental construction, vikalpa, superimposed on reality according to the Buddhists. Mental constructs can be the object of conceptualization or inference, they are never given directly. Hence, according to Nyaya, prama is presentative cognition which corresponds to a positive or negative fact. As we have seen, it has the same dharma dharmin structure as the fact. This situation never obtains according to the Buddhists. Perception as pramana is non-judgmental. It arises from a unique particular which does not have dharma dharmin structure. The object of inference as pramana has the complex structure, but it is a mental construction. It does not correspond to reality. Inference is still an important pramana according to Buddhists, as it leads to reality not through grasping, that is grahana, but through determination, that is adhyavasaya.